I'm appalled and disgusted by what I've done.
I know as a judge I'm not supposed to show emotion. And in 22 years, I never have. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I have to imagine that at some point you got on the internet and said, how do I bury a body? Because this is unbelievable.
I just signed your death warrant. I'm giving you 175 years, which is 2,100 months.
This is Larissa Rodriguez and her boyfriend, Christopher Rodriguez, who are in the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court in Cleveland, Ohio. Judge Nancy Margaret Russo is about to read their sentence, but the event that brought them here happened years ago. That fateful night, Christopher took an unconscious Jordan, Larissa's 5-year-old son who had special needs, to Larissa, who simply gave the boy a cold shower and put him to bed. Tragically, the next day, the child was found dead. However, instead of seeking help by calling 911, the couple chose a horrifying course of action. They wrapped the child's body in blankets and bags containing mothballs and then buried him in their own backyard. Almost 2 months later, the police received a tip from Christopher's brother, which led them to the Rodriguez's home.
The side door on it is open. Not sure if anyone's inside.
A police officer came to make inquiries.
Well, we got a call wanting us to check on the well-being of the 5-year-old, 4 to 5-year-old.
But Larissa Rodriguez is prepared.
Do you have a child with special needs?
Oh, Jordan? Yes, I do.
How old is Jordan?
Jordan, he is just turned 5.
Where's Jordan at?
He's with his dad.
Do you know any numbers, how to get in touch with anybody who actually lives in Texas?
I mean, right now, his phone just got disconnected.
What's his name?
Larissa just claimed that Jordan, her son, was in Texas with his father. However, she couldn't provide a phone number to contact them. As it turned out, this statement was a lie. The next day, the police returned to the scene and validated the information provided by Christopher Rodriguez's brother. He had informed the police that the child was buried in the backyard.
Basically, him and his girlfriend buried the kid in the backyard.
If you thought the couple would have been remorseful for their crimes, you're wrong. Because during their sentencing, things got even crazier. Following these events, Larissa Rodriguez and her boyfriend were arrested and charged in court. However, they entered into a plea deal, which resulted in the murder charges being dismissed, and in exchange, they pleaded guilty to charges of involuntary manslaughter, felonious assault, 2 counts of child endangerment, and abuse of a corpse. Back to the court, Judge Russo proceeds to sentence Larissa Rodriguez first.
The court imposes sentence as follows. Counts 1, 2, and 3 to be served consecutive to each other and concurrent to the sentence imposed in count 5 for a total sentence of 25 years.
Larissa has just been sentenced to 25 years in prison, but before sentencing Christopher Rodriguez, Judge Russo has a few words.
What we do every day is so hard for dealing with the horrors that are brought before us. And Mr. Rodriguez, this is a horror. I know as a judge I'm not supposed to show emotion. And in 22 years, I never have. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. You and Larissa, I look at friends and family and people who are desperate to have children and want to have families, and you two have babies with no consideration. You just keep having them, disregarding the value of their life, disregarding their purpose in life, like they're less than an object.
But Judge Russo wasn't done.
I will not accept the recommendation.
That's right. She rejected the recommended sentence of 20 to 25 years that both prosecution and defense had agreed upon. She believes that the suggested punishment does not align with the heinousness of the crimes committed.
You had every opportunity at so many points to make a difference, to get help, to stop beating somebody, to call the police, to ask for help, to try to take him to the hospital. I have to imagine that at some point you got on the internet and said, how do I bury a body? Because this is unbelievable.
Eventually, Judge Russo sentences Christopher Rodriguez to 28 years, which is the maximum available. Christopher Rodriguez appealed the ruling, but the decision was upheld. Currently, both Christopher and Larissa Rodriguez are serving their sentences in separate locations within the Ohio prison system.
Your sentence is followed. It's a total sentence of 28 years. That's the maximum sentence available. This is a horror. I know as a judge I'm not supposed to show emotion. And in 22 years, I never have. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life.
While Larissa Rodriguez and Christopher Rodriguez's behavior were shocking, however, it's nothing compared to the utter mayhem caused in a South Carolina court by Jeremy and Christine Moody, a married couple with ties to neo-Nazi beliefs, standing before the judge for their sentencing. Despite their smiles, they have been found guilty of first-degree murder for killing Charles Parker and his wife Gretchen. The Moody couple targeted Charles Parker, whom they didn't know, after finding his address in a sex offender registry. The Moody's extremist beliefs led them to believe that God wanted them to eliminate all sex offenders. Police located the killers using surveillance footage from the Parker home, as well as identifying Jeremy's tattoos, which included the words skinhead across his neck and white power on top of his head. However, the real shocker came when the Moody's unleashed their madness in the courtroom. During questioning, the couple admitted their guilt and went even further by confessing to their crimes. They also revealed to authorities that they had plans to kill more sex offenders. The couple were charged with murder, kidnapping, and burglary. It was now the Moody's turn to plead for forgiveness.
Our day goes by that I don't regret. And I know that what I've done is a sin. And I believe that God has forgiven me of it. Please have mercy on Christine and I so we can still have a chance to grow old together as husband and wife.
The Bible clearly states, "Thou shalt not kill." I'm sorry I broke that commandment, but I truly believe God has forgiven Jeremy and I. I hope she will too.
After listening to their remorseful words and their plea to stay together, it was now in the hands of Judge Lee Alford to make the decision.
We killed these two people. They had nothing, no way to defend themselves or anything else. And I tell you that I believe that if these two were to get out of jail, I would be concerned that they would do exactly the same thing again. I don't have any question about it. I think it is a case that justice demands a life sentence.
Upon delivering the sentences, the couple shared a final kiss before being separated. Watch again as the two convicts go in for a kiss. Outside the courthouse, their earlier expressed remorse seemed to vanish as they continued to reveal their true feelings.
I think Jeremy and I would have done it again if given the opportunity. I have no regrets. Killing that pedophile was the best day of my life.
What about what you said in court about repenting? Is that not true then?
No, it's not true. My lawyer made me say it.
Do you have anything to say to the victim's family?
May they die also.
Jeremy and Christine Moody were both sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. The Moodys were not alone in their courtroom actions. However, let's not forget the infamous incident involving 41-year-old Dia Millerberg in Ogden, Utah.
I'm appalled and disgusted.
To understand this case, we have to go back 3 years when Dia, her husband, and their 16-year-old babysitter named Alexis Rasmussen, fueled by a disturbing cocktail of alcohol and drugs, were having sexual relations inside the couple's home. Things took a nightmarish turn when Eric Millerberg, Dia's husband, injected Alexis with a lethal mix of heroin and methamphetamine for the third time, leading to her tragic overdose. Scared that he would be sent back to prison due to his criminal record, Eric and Dia made an unthinkable choice. They transported Alexis's lifeless body to a remote area and buried her in a shallow grave. Alexis Rasmussen remained missing for more than a month until a confidential informant's tip cracked open the case. From there, the police recovered Alexis's body and unraveled the shocking truth behind the Millerbergs' involvement. After their arrest, Dia Millerberg struck a deal with the prosecution. In exchange for a lighter sentence, she agreed to testify against her husband in court. Dia pleaded guilty to multiple charges, including obstructing justice, illegally acquiring prescription drugs, and desecrating a deceased body. During her sentencing, Dia Millerberg addressed the victim's family.
I just want to say that I'm appalled and disgusted by what I've done. I've hurt your family in a way I can't fix. You're in my prayers, and I hope one day you'll be able to forgive me, and that God will bring me peace. Your Honor, I'm not going to make excuses for what I've done.
Judge W. Brent West then delivered the sentence, but not without admitting the gravity of the situation.
The bottom line is, Ms. Millerberg, I do think that prison is the appropriate sentence in this particular situation. I realize the 3 years of allowing you to rebuild and your family and everything of that nature, and then to come in and say, okay, Judge, you're going to destroy that. But I take these cases as I find them to be. I didn't have any control that it took 3 years to bring this to trial. It's going to be the order and sentence of the court that you're to serve 3 indeterminate terms at the Utah State Prison of 0 to 5 years. I will recommend that they run concurrent.
Dia Millerberg was sentenced to 4 years and 2 months in prison, while her husband, Eric Millerberg, was sent to 6 years in prison.
I'm appalled and disgusted by what I've done.
While some may attribute Millerberg's crimes to the fear of returning to prison, however, it pales in comparison to the unfathomable behavior of Cyrus Matthews, who was in court for misdemeanor charges tied to a road rage incident. If you thought Matthew had reached the depths of depravity with their crimes, wait until you see his shocking behavior. Because of his crazy road rage incident, Matthews is going to jail. But first, Matthews tries to reason his way out of prison.
Well, is there like any way that we can reverse this jail time?
Well, you're going to have to go to jail today because you need to get out to attend a hearing and consider furloughs.
When that didn't work, Matthews took a more practical approach.
Okay? So you have to go today, right?
In case you missed that, Matthews just left the courtroom. He's not feeling very jaily today. His girlfriend, pictured here, chases after him. Midway through his escape, he seemed to have a rethink. The court bailiff tries pointing out the folly of his actions. It seems that Matthews is considering going back to the courtroom, but then his girlfriend appears, and the hesitation disappears. Outside now with his freedom in sight, Matthews and his girlfriend speed off. Not long after, the Wadsworth police got involved as the situation escalated. Matthews' escape attempt turned into a high-speed chase, hitting speeds of up to 90 miles an hour.
Turn north onto Lyman from Maple. He was in an older gray four-door vehicle.
The chase came to an end when the amateur Dominic Toretto crashed into a white SUV. Officer Walser rushed to the scene. Thankfully, the passengers, a couple with a baby, got hurt, but luckily it wasn't anything serious. Amidst the chaos, Officer Walser runs over to Matthews' wrecked car.
I'm going to need multiple squads. I need help, sir. Okay.
Eventually, the Wadsworth police pulled Matthews and his girlfriend out of the wreckage and took them to the hospital. Matthews was charged with aggravated felonious assault for hurting his girlfriend and the other car's occupants and sentenced to 425 days behind bars. His girlfriend, though, wasn't held responsible for what went down. This wasn't the only time a convict freaked out during their sentencing. However, take for example the case of Miss Yang and her husband, Mr. Huang, who were in a South China courtroom facing a legal battle against Huang's mother. She had lent the couple some money for their wedding, but with the couple now going through a divorce, she was concerned about getting repaid. In the midst of the hearing, tensions escalate. Miss Yang and her soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law engage in a heated argument. Mr. Huang didn't like the way his soon-to-be ex-wife talked to his mother, and he let her know. However, the situation quickly spirals into chaos. What started as a verbal dispute turned into a physical altercation. Amidst the commotion, Miss Yang shifts her anger towards her mother-in-law and hits her on the head. This infuriates the husband, who lets her have a taste of the violence. Struggling to maintain order, a lone court official attempts to keep the trio separated. He manages to restrain Mr. Huang, but the violent exchange continues between Miss Yang and her mother-in-law. Eventually, the officials manage to break up the fight with the arrival of the police. As things seemingly calm down, the court official lets out an exasperated chuckle. It's not every day that one gets to witness the drama in the courtroom. Both the mother and son are taken into custody and charged with assault. The husband, Mr. Huang, receives a 15-day detention sentence, while his mother is sentenced to 5 days. If you thought these reactions were shocking, you'd be amazed at this video of criminals who laughed out at the judge.